All right, let's talk about 1985. It was a huge year in music, and a British rock band released an album that didn't just climb the charts, it pretty much took over the entire planet. We're talking about Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits. Now, this thing sold over 30 million copies, which is staggering, but its real story isn't just about the sales. It's about how it launched one of the most massive, ambitious tours in the history of music.
It all kind of starts with this number right here, 248.
That's right, they played 248 shows. This was a grueling, globe-trotting trek that took them to 23 different countries. Just think about that for a second. And get this is how many people came out to see them play live. Over 2.5 million fans. The sheer scale of that is just mind-boggling.
So you gotta ask, how on earth did one album power all of that? I mean, yeah, it's easy to just point to the monster hits like Money for Nothing or Walk of Life. But the real answer, the secret to why this whole thing became such a blockbuster, it lies a little deeper than that.
So first, let's just appreciate the tour itself. Back in '85, the Brothers in Arms tour wasn't just a string of concerts. No, it was a full-blown cultural event. It took that incredibly polished, sophisticated sound from the album, and with a huge boost from a little channel called MTV, it became this massive global spectacle.
The whole thing kicked off in Split, Yugoslavia, way back in April of '85. Just a few months into it, boom, they're at Wembley Stadium for Live Aid, delivering this legendary set that was broadcast to literally billions of people. A full year later, after zigzagging all over the world, they finally played their last show in Sydney. A year and a day. It was absolutely relentless.
You know, a tour on that scale just doesn't happen because of a couple of catchy singles. It had to be about the entire album, the artistry, the depth. So what was the secret ingredient here? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look past the radio hits and really dig into the album itself. And we're going to start with one very specific song.
We're going to put Your Latest Trick under the microscope. Now, it wasn't the biggest single off the album, not by a long shot, but it is the perfect case study. See, this one song has all the ingredients that made Dire Straits so incredibly unique and ultimately so loved by millions.
So first up, let's talk about the sound. You have to remember what the 80s sounded like. Tons of synthesizers, big booming drum machines. And then along comes Your Latest Trick, and it sounded like it was from another planet. It was smooth, it was jazzy, it was really complex. This was a rock band that just flat out refused to sound like the 80s.
The song really falls into this category we call jazz rock, and it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's the perfect blend, right? You get all the cool, complex chords and the improvisation from jazz, but it's got the power and the drive of rock music. It's music that's sophisticated, but you can still feel it in your bones.
The way this song is actually built is a masterclass. It starts with this slow, really moody trumpet intro played by the legendary Randy Brecker. Then, bam! The tempo almost doubles, and his brother, the incredible Michael Brecker, comes soaring in with that unforgettable saxophone line. So the whole song just ebbs and flows between these quiet, story-driven verses and that more emotional, up-tempo chorus. It creates this amazing dynamic tension.
I mean, the musical language happening here is just off the charts. Mark Knopfler is using these complex jazz chords, things like major sevenths and augmented chords, that you just did not hear on pop radio back then. You combine that with the shifting moods and those absolutely iconic horn solos, and you get a sound that was totally 100% their own. It felt like music for grown-ups, you know, in the best possible way.
But the genius here wasn't just in the notes they played. Mark Knopfler is, first and foremost, a master storyteller. And the lyrics in Your Latest Trick are just a perfect example of his clever, multi-layered wordplay.
Just take this one line. I mean, on the surface, it's a simple, sad image, right? A guy with a broken heart. But there is so much more packed into these few words.
This is where Knopfler is just playing on another level. So, 12-bar blues is the most basic, fundamental chord structure in all of blues music. But 12 bars could also literally mean he went on a pub crawl down a street called Lover's Lane after his heart was broken, hitting a dozen different bars. It's this incredible pun that works on both a musical and an emotional level. Just brilliant.
And it doesn't stop there. He does it again with the 12 keys hanging off my chain. Is he talking about the 12 keys in music or a set of actual house keys? And fan interpretations have pointed out that even the title Your Latest Trick could be a double entendre, meaning both her deception and, well, a slang term for a prostitute's client. All of it just paints this incredibly vivid, cinematic picture of a lonely musician in a city late at night.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. The deep, deep attention to detail that we see in just this one song, both musically and lyrically, that's basically a snapshot of the entire band's appeal. That's why Brothers in Arms wasn't just a handful of hits. It was a complete artistic statement that's not only lasted, but has actually gotten better with age.
So when you boil it all down, you get the Dire Straits formula. It's this amazing blend of technical skill with real, raw emotion. It's Knopfler's incredible storytelling that just puts you right in the scene. And it's their courage to completely ignore what was trendy and create something timeless. They were even pioneers with technology. Brothers in Arms is one of the very first all-digital DDD recordings, which was a massive selling point for that shiny new format, the compact disc. You know, maybe the best description of Mark Knopfler's talent ever came from Douglas Adams, the guy who wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He said Knopfler could make a guitar sound like angels on a Saturday night, exhausted from being good all week and needing a stiff drink. I mean, how perfect is that? It just perfectly captures that soulful, world-weary sound.
And all of this brings us right back to our big question. And what Dire Straits proved, without a shadow of a doubt, is that the answer is a huge, resounding yes. They showed the world that you don't have to choose between artistic depth and massive commercial success. You can have your complex jazz chords and your literary lyrics, and you can still sell 30 million albums and play for 2.5 million people. It turns out, true artistry might just be the biggest blockbuster of all.